All right, you lift weights, but now it's time to turbocharge your gains. Did you know that the order of your exercises, how you put them together, can make a massive difference? Today, we're going to talk about a hack, a secret, a way you can organize your exercises to dramatically improve the size gains you get from strength training. This is an old tip. We've talked about it before, a long time ago. We're going to break it down. This will help you organize your workouts.
Wait a second.
Recipes matter.
I thought this was a mid-range stretch and squeeze conversation.
That's right.
How's that order of operation exercise?
I'll start by this, right? So
are you talking about choosing exercises
yes.
that emphasize that?
That's right.
Okay.
That
I see you.
right.
I see you.
That's right. Years ago, I probably like 1995 or 4, I think. I subscribed to all the bodybuilding magazines, and one of them was Iron Man magazine. The editor-in-chief at the time, Steve Holman, had put out this, and it's like a PDF now, I think, but it was a book called Positions of Flexion Training. And he had this theory around exercise order, or how you can organize 3 exercises to maximize gains for a particular body part. And what he talked about was how some exercises create most of their tension in the mid-range portion of the rep. Then there are exercises that apply a lot of tension in the stretch, and then those that apply a lot of tension in the squeeze. Now, he came up with this theory after observing bodybuilders. Bodybuilders often, ever since the 70s, they would organize their workouts in this way. Typically, they'd start the workout with like a compound lift, a lot of the tensions in that mid-range. Then they'd move to a stretching type movement, and then they'd finish it with these finisher squeeze exercises. And ever since then, a lot of data kind of supports this a little bit. And what's funny is when I read this, so I was a kid, I applied this to my training and I got phenomenal results. And ever since then, this has always been part of how, because this isn't the only thing, right? But this has been part of how I design workouts for myself, for clients, or anybody's interested in really maximizing their gains. So it's a really cool blueprint for how you can train yourself, in particular for muscle development. So it might not be necessarily purely for athletic training or that kind of stuff, but like if for development, this is a really, really good framework you can work from.
Conversation reminds me of when we were in Florida at Ben Pakulski's gym, and he had those machines that were specifically tailored so you could put it on that like stretch position or the squeeze, and like you could adjust it so it gave it more tension in those areas.
Yeah, these machines are great, right?
Do you know if the guy who authored that article is responsible for the invention of those machines? Because those became popular in the early 2000s.
They did.
When they first came out, I remember.
Nautilus was the first one to do it. Nautilus.
Oh, Nautilus did that before?
Yeah. So Arthur Jones.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was way ahead of everybody when it came to muscle development and building strength and machine development, right? Nautilus set the stage, okay? And he was the first one where he made, and it was too complicated. A lot of gyms didn't adopt it because people had no idea how to use them.
Nobody would set it up correctly.
They didn't know. But like, for example, there was like a preacher curl machine and you could adjust the pin so that the pulley would change the angle so that the heaviest part of the rep would be mid-range, or the heaviest part would be at the stretch, or the heaviest part would be at the squeeze. And the way they would do that is you would do a set in each one. Most people, average gym goer, would look at it and go, just do it the way it was.
Each one.
So because we're on a podcast, and I'm sure there's obviously some of the major gym rats are following along right here. I think you have to give like a visual to explain. And I think the bicep curl is one of the easiest ways to describe to people what you mean by stretch position, squeeze position, and mid-range to get that, and then how we would manipulate that.
Yeah, so mid-range would be halfway through the rep. This is where you're going to get most of the tension.
On a bicep, so use a bicep curl, right?
Yeah, so
I'm a standing bicep curl. Yeah, standing bicep curl.
Standing barbell curl, right? When you're at the bottom, not as much resistance. Right when you get about mid-range, when you're fighting gravity directly, is when it's heaviest. When you come up beyond halfway, again, you're not fighting gravity directly, so it's a little easier. So most of the tension is in the middle. Incidentally, mid-range, quote unquote, mid-range exercises typically are the ones that you could do with the most weight. So if I were to say, pick a standard bicep exercise where you're going to be able to lift the most weight, people would pick a barbell curl for that. And that's one of the main reasons, right? You could probably barbell curl more than you can with other bicep exercises where the tension is in a different part. Tension in the lengthened position might be like a preacher curl bench with a barbell, or an incline curl at the very bottom where, it's hard.
Fully stretched out.
Right. A squeeze position would be like a concentration curl, where at the top when you're bent over and you're the hardest part of the
spider curls.
Or a spider curl would be a great example. And so the theory was that you're going to activate the bulk of the muscle fibers with the heaviest exercise, which typically is this kind of mid-range tension exercise. Then you're going to move to a stretch exercise to get the other muscle fibers, and then the squeeze is to get the final bit that are left over.
Yeah.
And so a lot of bodybuilders just instinctively, that's probably the wrong word, just through trial and error, would organize their routines this way. For example, if you look at like a classic bodybuilding chest workout, what it would typically look like would be like a press, 1 or 2 presses, bench press, incline press. Then you go to a fly with barbell, with dumbbells, where most of the tension is at the bottom, right? When you come up past that, it's kind of easy. And then
like a pec deck or something?
They would finish with a cable crossover. In fact, this is how Arnold organized many of his exercises, was that mid-range, stretch, and then squeeze. And now we see, what the studies will show is if you compare each of those, the one that tends to produce the most hypertrophy is in that stretch position. But I think when people read studies like that, they fail to realize that all those positions stimulate muscle growth.
Right.
And negating any of them is not a good idea. In fact, if you only train in one of them, moving outside of that's probably going to elicit some new growth.
To me, that's we talk a lot on the show about moments in our lifting career that were like paradigm shattering, or like this was a big, I remember I'd already been training for a good solid 5+ years or whatever. And I think it was an article in one of the magazines that got me to do this. And it blew my mind. I saw gains on my arms that I hadn't seen in a really, really long time. At that point in my life, that's all I cared about was like gaining my arms. And so I'd already been hammering the shit out of them, tried all the different things, but never had I organized my workouts with this. And then from that moment on, forever is how I made sure, like in my workout, I made sure that I was at least addressing each one of those portions of the exercise.
And there's more that goes to this, right? Squeeze exercises are also beneficial, in particular for people who have trouble connecting to a particular muscle group. Like if you have somebody that doesn't feel their chest when they're bench pressing, they'll feel it with a cable crossover focusing on the squeeze, right?
Yeah.
So squeeze exercises are really good for feeling that particular muscle. Mid-range exercises, sometimes you don't even feel necessarily what's happening. Like a barbell squat, you'll feel it in your quads. A lot of times you don't feel it in your glutes for a lot of people. But the glutes get a lot of activation and build a lot. And there really isn't a lot.
Mainly because you could load it substantially more.
That's the key there, right? So mid-range exercises, compound lifts tend to be this, right? Compound lifts tend to be in this category. And it's just the overall tension and load that make them so darn.
But to your point, where the secret sauce lies is if you're somebody who's never really paid attention or tracked this, you tend to gravitate to stuff that you can load the most or you like doing the most. And so a lot of people that have never really evaluated this, the first time you actually do it, you start to go, oh shit, I tend to do all these similar type of exercises, and no matter what it is going outside of that to the other two is where the gold is at, regardless of what you've been currently doing. Because now not only do you get the benefits of what all the research says on all those positions, but also you get the added benefit of the novelty of it because you never do that. And so therefore doing that now is going to provide the most gains.
Right. But it really does help you organize your exercises, like triceps. Let's get triceps, for example. Like a mid-range tricep exercise might be like a close grip bench press. A stretch exercise, an overhead tricep extension, a squeeze one,
push downs,
traditional press down. By the way, that is a great order and combination for triceps. Like that's a great, like when people think programming, good strength coaches, bodybuilding coaches, like, trainers understand this. Typically when they organize workouts, this is what they will consider as is a kind of a fundamental part of the programming outside of things like athletic performance, correctional exercise. Typically the exercise, if I see exercise order and I look at someone's workout and I see that they're including these, I know that they have a decent understanding.
Well, especially if they, to Justin's point about the mid-range being the one that you're going to be able to load the most, if they order them correctly.
That's
so
right.
It's like, it's one thing you have some, like I can look at a program and go, oh, they have some sort of knowledge if they've included all those. And then I know you have another level of knowledge when you've ordered them in a way where it's like, mid-range is the first one,
and perform at the best,
and then stretch, and then squeeze is at the very bottom.
Yes.
And so
it's funny too, because the way bodybuilders would communicate it is they'd say,
finisher.
Yes, they would go do the heavy exercise first, then stretch the muscle, and then squeeze as much blood into the muscle. That's what they would say. The squeeze ones are to get the best pump as possible. But now, stretch exercises aren't just exercises that give you a good stretch. It's exercises where the load tends to be heaviest at the stretch position. So a cable crossover technically can also be a stretch, right? I can get a good stretch at the end of it, but the tension's the same all the way through.
Yeah.
When I'm doing a dumbbell fly, and this is where the value of a dumbbell fly, 'cause someone might say, oh, cable crossover is superior because it's tension all the way
Barely
through.
any tension here.
I mean, you are loading
Until you're out wide.
You're loading the stretch. When you get past that point, it's kind of easy. And so this is a phenomenal stretch exercise. So, you're thinking, what you want to think to yourself is most load, stretch the muscle, squeeze the muscle as hard as I can. Now you have 3 exercises or exercise ideas or general structures for your workout that will direct you in a way where your programming now is going to do pretty well.
Now, if you were programming similar to something, say like MAPS Anabolic, where you're only doing 1 exercise per group, this would look like something you would do during the week.
Yeah.
So this would be like a Monday, I'm going to do my heavy compound lift. That's my mid-range.
That's right.
And then
Wednesday could be the stretch.
And then the last day.
Absolutely. So so glad you said that. Like if you're doing full body workouts where you're doing 1 exercise per day. Now, mid-range exercises, this is the bulk, right? These compound lifts is the bulk of what you're going to do. But when you want to add these others, this now gives you more variety and ideas of how to combine exercises, because oftentimes you'll see workout programming and you can tell that someone doesn't really understand. Like for triceps, you may see like 50 different variations of press downs. Like, okay, why is the elbow position the same in every exercise? We're not doing anything different. Where's the stretch with those exercises? Same thing with chest. Back is a great one, right? What would be a great stretch back exercise? A dumbbell pullover, cross bench is exceptional. The load is at the bottom. Once you get past a certain point, it's easy to get the dumbbell up, but it's that stretch at the bottom that you'll get with a pullover that you won't get with a lot of other exercises. Today's program giveaway, MAPS Strong. If you want to win, leave a comment below this video, make it a positive one. In the first 24 hours that we drop it, subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications. If you win, we'll let you know in the comment section. We also have a sale, MAPS 15 minutes, half off. Right now. Go to maps15minutes.com. Use the code MUSCLE50 for the 50% off discount. Back to the show.
I love when you bring tips and conversations like this for the intro of the podcast, because look at I don't know how far we're in, 15 minutes in, of the nuance of this one factor that plays a role in programming. We always get that generic question of like, well, how do you program? It's like there's so many things that are taken into consideration. This is literally one aspect of that, and it's not the end all be all. It's just one of the things that is factored in when we go somewhere to write one of these programs. This is like the scaffolding of it. This is already determined that we would do something like this, and then we're building on top of that. So it gives you a little bit more insight to all the things that you consider while you do that.
That's right. So when you're looking at your program or your workout, think to yourself like, okay, is this a heavy loaded exercise? Do I have one of those in there? Check. Is this an exercise that I'll feel the tension in the stretch? Check. And then can I do an exercise now where it's the hardest when I squeeze? Hamstrings is a good example. A lot of people do leg curls, and what they'll do is they'll do 3 variations of leg curls. They'll do seated leg curls, laying leg curls, one-legged leg curls, all the same. It's all pretty much, there's a little bit of a difference, but it's all the same. Versus, what do we put a Romanian in there where you're stretching the hamstrings and loading there? Or doing a variation of a squat where it's mid-range, but you're getting a lot of hamstring, or a deadlift, a conventional deadlift for those hamstrings. Much, much more effective programming, better muscle development. And for a lot of people who've been working out now for a while, who know exercises, because it's one thing to know exercises, but then it's the next thing to know, how do I piece these together? Because I have this much time and I can only train this much because of my recovery. Which exercise is going to be the most bang for the buck? I've already done the compound lift. Where do I go from here? This is something you can strongly.
Would you add to the complexity of this, if we're talking about you personally? Like, let's say you've got and I know this isn't you because your legs develop easily, but let's pretend like you're putting a lot of focus on your legs. Yeah. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're trying to build. And so maybe you actually, Monday and Wednesday, you do maybe some mid-range stuff in there because you want to put heavy load. But then Friday comes along and you're still taxed. Like now your choice on Friday of exercise, how does that change? How does your thought process go?
Oh boy, like if I'm doing quads, right? Squats, great. Sissy squats, stretch. Like the load is at the bottom. Like anybody who's ever done a sissy squat knows that it's the bottom part that is hard. Once you get past that, it's pretty easy. And then the squeeze is very easy, leg extension. You get in a leg extension, you get them up to the top. That's the hard part of the exercise. And it's funny because, again, bodybuilders, I think, have kind of understood this through the years, through trial and error. And if you look at their workouts, they tend to organize them in this particular way. Here's the heavy, here's the stretch where I can really feel the stretch, and then here's a squeeze. Yeah. And this produces exceptional results, guys, because oftentimes you're doing similar exercises, or should I say, no, not that they're the same, but you could implement a better exercise than maybe the one you picked because you're now considering what we just talked about. Yeah. So pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, I got some studies on sodium and athletic performance that I think are pretty cool, like actual legit studies, which is pretty cool. So check this out. There was a study in the 2011. So sodium, I think we're out of the phase now where everybody's afraid of sodium. There was a whole period there where
you think, yeah, this is finally common knowledge as far as it being.
Well, I think just to see all the different electrolyte competitors that have exploded in the last 3 to 5 years is an example of that. Like that market wasn't there just say 10 years ago.
Well, Element came out and they did a really brave thing where they said 1 serving of our electrolyte powder is 1,000 milligrams of sodium. By the way, nobody would have done that. Everybody's so scared of sodium because of all the most of it misinformation around sodium and if it's bad for you and this and that. And so Element's like, before that, nobody had 1,000 milligrams for an electrolyte powder. It was always like 200 milligrams or 100 milligrams. With
like
a lot
bare
of
minimum versus optimal amount.
Yeah. And by the way, the early studies too on electrolytes use a lot of sodium. Like the first Gatorade that they used. Was it University of Florida?
Yes. And you guys know the story? The story's kind of crazy right there. Have you looked it up before, Doug? Have you ever looked at how Gatorade came? That's why it's called the Gatorade, because it's for Florida State. The Gators. And like they were, I forget what happened. They were getting like crushed. Like just
they had one of their nutrition scientists develop they called it Gatorade, and it was high sodium. Yeah. They lowered the sodium because
the team's performance like went through the roof, and then so the name was born like that. That's right. Yeah, it's got a really cool story behind it.
That's right. So I got some studies here on it, which is pretty interesting. So there's a study in the 2011 Journal of Sports Science that showed that sodium supplementation, 3 to 6 grams a day during endurance events, reduces plasma volume loss and it maintains hydration far better than water alone. This is definitely critical for events lasting more than an hour. Again, that's what they found. Remember in Florida when they were playing football, it was hot and humid.
Yep.
And when their athletes were, drinking, and it's not the Gatorade you buy at the store.
You lose 10 pounds before you even step on the field.
Oh,
and the time really that kind of weather.
Yeah. And the reason for this is it's because the water's pairing and sodium's holding on to it, right?
Keeps it in your body.
So basically, it's storing it for later when you're going to need it.
Oh, let me give you an example. If all you drank was distilled water, you're dangerous. Distilled water is water with nothing in it. Yeah. Very dangerous to just drink.
It goes right through you.
Right through
Body's
you.
Not even
you can actually dehydrate yourself as a result.
1965.
1965 was the first time. And the original Gatorade, like I said, was much higher in sodium.
Yeah, and it was in result to the concerns they had because of the heat and dehydration that the Florida Gators football team was having.
Yes. Yep. Here's another one. In 2016, meta-analysis found that sodium ingestion improved endurance performance by 3 to 5% in events like marathons and triathlons, which is a big deal when you're talking about that level. Research in 2006, Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise linked hyponatremia to ultra-endurance events where athletes overhydrate without replacing sodium. So athletes would run into this problem in endurance events where they're drinking lots of water and their electrolyte balance is off and they're getting muscle cramps and they think they need more water, which is actually what was causing the problem. Too much water, not enough.
We saw this a lot, especially when I was coaching the high school kids. It's like, they're on top of their water consumption, but they were still getting cramps at mid-game.
Yes,
and it was really that balance.
This is especially important. So if you do endurance events, you sweat a lot, this is a big deal. Like some of the consumers that like the Element product the most are people who work in the sun. These are blue-collar workers. Actually, they'll buy Element because it makes a big difference. Yeah. Because they're out in the sun, roofers, those kind of people, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're out in the sun, you're sweating a lot, like you need to add some sodium to your water. If you don't consume a lot of processed foods,
that's a big one.
If you're in a whole food diet, your sodium intake is significantly lower than if you had a lot of processed
This
foods.
is the okay. So I find this
enlightening.
This is interesting to me. I don't know if you see, like, our editing team's all young, so they follow like all the young influencer kids and stuff like that. And there's an influencer kid. He puts out. I want to give him credit, like 95%, really, really good credit. I know he shits on electrolytes as one of his things.
Really?
I know, yeah, and Josh has sent it to me. And like what I don't understand, again, I think this is just a lack of experience of knowing what happens to a lot of clients. Like, you take a client who most of their life has been eating processed foods, and then which, by the way, the body is now adapted to this high level of sodium, and then you convince them that eating whole foods is the path, and they are bought in and they do that. And even if they salt their food reasonably, the amount of sodium that person intakes, while also now pushing to work out, is dramatically lower than what it used to be. And many times, me simply just bumping my client's sodium made a huge difference in how they felt, their performance, all the things. So I find it really interesting that there is there's pushback in some of the science community in the fitness side of some of these influencers that think that, electrolyte game is such bullshit, it's a waste of money.
It's not. Look, if you eat processed foods, you don't exercise, you sit on the couch all day, like, don't use electrolytes.
Right.
You're getting plenty of sodium. You're not sweating, like, except for
sodium levels are great.
Yeah, you're fine. You're doing fine. You're probably not a good idea if you add sodium. But if you work out, eat a whole food diet, you'll probably notice an improvement, especially if you're low carb. Here's where it gets crazy. Yeah. When ketogenic diets or low carb diets started to get popular, people would talk about the keto flu. And the keto flu is, you switch over to ketones, your body has to get used to it. You feel like garbage for a couple weeks, and you're fatigued, and you got headaches, and don't worry, your body will adjust. The keto flu is because they needed sodium.
Yeah.
Because when you have no carbohydrates, your body flushes water out. And it's funny when I have clients go keto for whatever reason, and they'd feel that way, I would add salt to their water, and I'd say, let's see if this fixes it. By the way, you'll know.
Symptoms would go away.
Oh, you'll know if it fixes it. You'll know within 15 minutes. You'll add sodium, and then 15 minutes later, keto flu evaporates, and suddenly you feel remarkably better. That was because of the sodium. And then as far as for bodybuilders, if you really like to train like a bodybuilder, you're probably not eating a lot of processed foods. You're probably eating a lot of whole foods, high protein diet, and you like the pump, right? The pump is great. There's lots of supplements out there that talk about improving blood flow with citrulline, with arginine, and yes, that'll help. But I'll tell you something right now. You have 1,000 milligrams of sodium with some carbs before your workout, have another 1,000 milligrams during your workout, best pumps of your life. Yeah. Because of the sodium. Yeah. Makes it huge.
I also found it as a better, so this was something that was different that I did in our space during the competitive days, because I never liked the idea of what some of these competitors were doing where they went like no sodium. Ugh. But I saw the benefit of trying to get the water to pull out of your system. And so instead of me eating my whole food diet, my whole prep, and then all of a sudden cutting sodium before going to the show, I intentionally pushed sodium to much higher levels and then brought it down to normal. And I would get that same effect of losing that water weight that all these guys were doing. But then when I came into a stage, I'm still salting the shit out of my food like normal and eating a good amount of sodium still, just half or a quarter of what I was before. And this was before Element was even a thing. So I was using the giant dill pickles, and I get to like 2-3 of those big ones a day to push my numbers up, in addition to all the salting on my food. And then all I do is I would go from 3 to 2 to 1 to none.
You just reminded me, craves a lot of sodium is pregnant women, because their blood volume goes through the roof. They've got way more blood volume. So some of the my friends, we have some friends that are pregnant, and they're constantly asking me for Element. They're like, "Oh my God, this feels so good." It's the whole the reason why I thought of that. You brought up dill pickles. You ever hear the stories of women who are pregnant craving? They want to drink the pickle juice.
Yeah.
Well, that's still something that even like loose friends of mine, they swear by drinking pickle juice, and I'm like, oh, so you're craving sodium.
Yeah.
They think there's some magical reason.
Well, that is the magic, I guess.
Yeah. The other hack or thing that I would include is to like people who I see a lot. If you use a lot of saunas and jacuzzis,
you better sodium up before,
because
you're sweating.
Even with me taking the product like I do, I have to do a second one when I go spend a half hour more in one of those. Yes. Otherwise, I get a pounding headache. And so that was something that took me a minute to realize, because I thought, oh, I'm already using some of the sodium. I should be fine. But I mean, I sweat so much that, and I'm sure everybody's body's different on how much your body excretes, but I definitely turned that over fast. And so me being able to, and I don't know if that may be tied to my peeing and stuff like that I go through a lot of fluid or what it is.
That's a lot of people feel.
But I recognize that if I'm going to do the sauna, steam, jacuzzi.
I got way better muscle endurance, like in some of those workouts where I'm doing like higher rep volume. It's like, it's substantially, I noticed that it's when I add in quite a bit of sodium, I can have so much better endurance.
Do you guys want to hear a crazy poll that has been is now making its rounds right now? A survey conducted by one poll. So this was UK women, right? They did a survey and they found out that out of 1,000 UK women surveyed, a staggering 50% admitted to having a backup partner in mind if their current relationship was to fail.
How 70%?
50.
Oh, 50.
50%. By the way, married women are more likely to have a plan B.
To have a plan B in mind?
Yes. And its backup is likely to be an old friend who has always had feelings for them. Wow. Other candidates include ex-boyfriends, husbands, colleagues, or a gym buddy. So what do you guys think? I have some theories around this. I definitely have some theories around this.
Well, I mean, if you buy into the provider protector thought process, and it's like, hey,
we're disposable.
I love this guy, and I'm going to give it my all. But if he doesn't come through and doesn't protect, doesn't provide, then Steve's been begging me for my whole life since high school. So maybe I give him a shot.
And what's part of this is they allow that
sideline again.
They allow the plan B guy to think that there may be something. So they kind of string him along as a plan B.
We're just friends.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Captain Friend Zone. Is he gonna last that long until like the guy croaks?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
They think that.
It'd be interesting how many times. So you 50% admit that.
50% in this poll.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate it would be.
Well, I mean, if 50% are admitting it, you got to think it's at least that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you got to think there's a percentage are going to deny it.
Yeah.
Be like, no, I would never do that.
Well, when it's like your whole world's about safety, security, and all that, I could see how their brain's kind of like, evaluating all this all the time.
Like, divorce data is interesting too, because this is a real stat, that women rarely will leave their husbands without having found someone else.
Yeah.
Rarely do they leave in terms of the
years
data.
in mind they've already
in comparison to men, right? Rarely do they leave with nobody.
Yeah.
It's typically they leave because they have somebody else to go to.
What was the percentage of most divorces that were initiated by women? Isn't it higher?
80%.
80?
80%.
Wow.
80% are initiated.
Now, what's included though is the man who steps out and then she says, "I'm out."
That doesn't mean that they're the ones causing it.
Right. Doesn't mean it's her fault.
Right.
It's just that she's.
But they're the ones most likely to go and start the process. Of divorce.
Well, this is funny. I saw a study that's not necessarily related to that, but somewhat. So it was like a sleep study of for men. It was like very beneficial for them to have a significant other sleeping with, oxytocin, all this kind of bonding, associated with. They got better sleep quality, all that kind of. But for women in the study, they found that actually a dog was a better suitor,
really,
for them to sleep with.
That is interesting.
I was like, what?
That's interesting
because and it was like trying to exclaim that they were like less restless, like they just like match their heart rhythms better, and like they're the right temperature, all those kind of things. It was like more matched.
That would be interesting to read with that, because I know Katrina swears by that. She gets worse sleep when I'm out of town. She hates that. She's if I'm out of town, she's like, I never sleep good.
Yeah, Courtney too. The dogs always end up in bed when I'm gone. Every time. And so she probably gets better.
What was crazy about that first thing I said about the backup plan? It's really crazy how people go in, because the general stats on marriage are not really great, right? It's like 50% end up not working out. What's crazy is that, like thinking about a bit, like you're going to build a business, right? Adam, you've said this before. Like you're going to go into a business, your odds of success dramatically go up if you go all in.
That's right.
Rather than going in kind of like, I'm going to tiptoe in because just in case and I'm afraid type of deal. I think a lot of people are so afraid that they go into marriage like, well, with that mentality, like, well, just in case it doesn't work out, You keep your stuff here. I'll keep that there. I got my plan B over here type of deal.
Yeah, it's a failing strategy for sure.
It's like you're setting yourself up for higher odds of failure versus like we're all in.
I think there's also this misconception of when you're going to get married that it gets so much easier. Like when you get married, funny because you're friends with the mentor of mine that I had when I was a kid, Chad. And I'll never forget when I was dating somebody at the time, and I was asking his counsel on should I stay with her, and how do I know? I think she might be the one. I'm like 15, 16, right? Right. And
he didn't just start laughing at you.
No, he did. I appreciate him not, right? And discounting me that way. But he said something to me that forever stuck with me. And he says, like, everything that you are challenged with in the relationship, when you get married, it will be 10 times harder. And he goes, so as long as you can make peace with that, then yeah, she could be.
Great advice.
It was great advice because I think, and again, to your point right now, is it shifted the way I thought about going into a marriage is that it's not going to be easier and necessarily we're going to have as much, if not way more challenges than before. And so is this the person, I've heard a better example of like, you choose a partner on someone who you would want to go to war with. Somebody who we're going to go have to handle some shit that's the person. I know it's coming. I don't know what it is,
because you're going to go to war.
You're going to face it.
And I can't think of a better person. And I think about that with my relationship with Katrina. It's like, there's nobody I'd rather do all those hard things with than that mate.
I follow this on social media. There's this Orthodox priest. He does really good jobs. Father
that's the one you've sent to me.
Josiah Trenum, I think. And he said, so it's from a biblical standpoint, but that's the origins of the marriage as we understand it. One man, one woman, right? Two people, that's it. He says marriage was not designed to make you happy. It was designed and created to make you holy. And I thought that was a great way to say it, because people are so like, no, I got to be happy all the time.
It's like self-serving.
It's about happiness.
There's nothing self-serving.
No, and I love that he said that. It's a sanctifying thing. Just like with kids, like people think with kids, like, I don't want to have kids because it's going to be hard. It's going to be stressful. I'm going to be tired. Well, yeah, it is. And you're not going to be I guess you're not going to have the same kind of happiness stuff, fun stuff that you have now. But that's not what it's about. It's totally different. It's something you can't explain.
Yeah.
Along those lines, it's funny. I had somebody comment on one of my posts on X, and it was I used to believe this. So this guy said this comment, and I used to actually believe this. It's a really sad way of thinking of love. The person put on there, love is just a chemical reaction in your brain. And I said, God, I used to think that.
Yeah. No.
You know what's crazy about that?
It's a choice, man.
But you know what's crazy about that? Do you know that the ancient languages had different words for different types of love? Doug, if you could look up the four Greek words for love, or ancient Greek words,
like the way you love your brother, the way you love your mate, the way you love your job.
Yeah, so we use love. We just have love,
right?
So love. I love pizza. I love my wife. I love exercise.
I love lamp.
I love this movie, and we think it's a feeling. Like that's what love is, just the feeling that I get. It's like no, the ancient languages understood this. There was agape, which is sacrificial love. The eros, philia, and storge. And one of those is like brotherly love. One of them is familial.
It says right there, selfless love, romantic love, friendship love, and familial love.
Yeah. So they have four different words to describe love.
Yeah.
But what we've done is we've taken everything and put it into this one thing and just said love. And the feeling of love isn't just love. There's lots of things that the feeling of love is Arthur Brooks says it well. He's like, it's like smelling the turkey dinner, but it's not the turkey dinner. Yeah. It's evidence that it's there.
Well, I mean, thanks to our society and Disney, and I mean, we've positioned it as this, romantic feeling that you'll just feel. I mean, I remember being told that when I was younger.
You'll just know.
I remember being a young kid and asking, how do I know when I know? Oh, you'll just know. You'll just feel it, and you're walking around like, when am I going to feel this thing? To me, that was one of the most important moments on my journey of finding my wife, was realizing that it's a choice. Yeah. It's an action. It's like no one ever told me love's an action and a choice. So you choose to love that person. You choose to take action. And then if you reframe it as like, okay, I've picked this person that I'm going to do this with, and instead of me always looking at all her flaws or all of what she's not doing, it's like, what can I do? Because it's an action that I'm choosing to do for her. Yeah. And we're having a hard time. So it's like, instead of what we tend to all, default to, which is pointing out the other person's faults and what they're not doing or all the things, it's like, well, what could I be doing in this partnership to serve my partner more? And it's crazy because when you move in that fashion, it's wild how much better it becomes.
Well, there's a real problem too with, you ever hear people say like, oh, we lost the spark, those great feelings are gone or whatever. There's a real problem, and therapists will talk about this, where there are people who are addicted to the falling in love process. So they'll fall in love with someone.
Yeah, see, I think,
and they never move past that. Once that goes away,
my interpretation is, and this is how and this is my opinion, so you can agree or disagree, is those are people that misunderstand lust with love.
Yeah.
Because lust is a very powerful feeling that we all get, and it comes and goes, and it'll surface sometimes. It'll get surprised.
It'll pull you, yeah.
Yeah, and I think many times that lust leads to a sexual desire, which then may be interpreted as, oh, this must be what this pull, this addiction that I have towards this person must be what love is, and it's like, yeah, no, that's not.
And by the way, the data on that's very fascinating. The people who report the greatest satisfaction in their sex lives are people who've been married for decades who are in their 60s. So so if you think it's about being hot and the lustful thing, they're the ones reporting. Right. By the way, to take this back to fitness, because I think we have a lot of fitness individuals who will get it if I communicate it in this way. Imagine what it would be like. Actually, we don't need to. We know, because the modern societies are like this. If the only value that you worshipped about food, the only value that you valued about food was its palatability. It's all about how enjoyable it is to eat. That's all it is. Where does that lead to?
Right.
Obesity. Mm-hmm. It leads to disease. It leads to So if you have that narrow understanding or scope or value of food, you're going to end up sick and unhealthy. Food isn't just the palatability. That's part of it. But there's also so many other values that you get from food.
I mean, you could also say this about
hedonistic.
You could also say this about exercise. So another way to tie it back to fitness is, if you approach fitness as its only value is the way it makes you look, and you're always driving for that, that's also fleeting.
Of course.
Even if it gives you what you want temporarily, then you fall out of love with it after a while, because you're like, oh, cool, I've been 3% body fat, now what? And it's like, and then you go off in the other direction, and then you don't care anymore. Then you were that guy or that girl who talks about the time when you did it, like, oh yeah, I've done it. I've done the fitness thing. I've worked out. It's if you attach the only thing to how it makes you look, then you'll also lose that battle too.
Speaking of like love and lust, I got a stack for you guys from Organifi that is, we'll call it the happy stack, but I think we could more appropriately call it the horny stack. Shilajit and Happy Drops. Both work differently to boost libido. Both have been shown to boost sexual desire.
The Happy Drops do that too, huh?
I've told you guys this. Yeah, the saffron in there boosts libido, especially in women. Shilajit has been shown to do the same thing. Both come in the gummy form. You stack those together, that's a good time.
Justin over there throwing his
I'm
wife's
blending
juju
it in
fruits,
my wife shakes,
sliding it in there.
They go watch a movie. Hey babe, I brought you some candy.
She's like, "What's this tar tasting?"
What the hell?
Are these Happy Drops?
Yeah, juju fruits don't taste like this.
These don't taste like gummy bears.
Why do you keep touching me? Is it working yet?
Hey, grab some popcorn.
Oh god.
You know exactly the joke I'm making with that one.
Oh, dude, I don't know where they did this, but there was like at some college, they decided, I think through some genealogy or whatever, going through genetics, like they tried to recreate what hypothetically like the first human looked like basically Adam, right? What they'd look like, and so they put this all together. This artist renders it. It all comes together. You know what it ends up looking like and turns into?
What?
Vin Diesel, dude. I swear to God. He looks exactly like Vin Diesel.
Stop
I'm like,
it,
oh,
dude.
hell no.
Where do they get the idea, though? Where do they even think that this is going to be?
I have no idea what the motivation was for it, but it's just, But it was like a legit college where they ran this program and like got this artist to render it.
Now,
I mean,
I'm assuming that that's what they're doing is reverse engineering all the,
tracing down like the looks.
Oh my God, it's exactly like Vin Diesel.
Right? Like it's scary. It's scary and accurate. Looks like Vin Diesel.
Why?
Yeah. I have
Why
no
does it
idea.
look identical to
Well,
him?
I mean, what that would say is that his
the
makeup,
ultimate man.
right? All like whatever his ancestral, like his ancestral tree is linked similar to what Adam's would be in order for that to look. Is that how that would work?
Yeah, like if they go back and look at all the
He has the
traits,
perfect,
like characteristics and like like facial features,
Dude, that is
and
exactly
then put it all
Vin Diesel.
together.
That's not even like kind of close. That is
really
Vin Diesel.
that's what you're gonna come up with is like that's the first human. I don't think so.
I'm more and more in believing that with some things, right? That
I feel like you were getting trolled.
Yeah, that they do a lot of guessing. You know what I mean? Like a lot. Like this is a lot of guessing.
So glad you're starting to figure that out. So glad you're starting to figure that out.
Yeah. But I mean, they did this with like the Shroud of Turin and all this, and they're trying really hard to give us a real image of you know what these historical people might look like. But come on, Vin Diesel.
Hey, I gotta tell you guys.
Tell me about the about because he's on this and he's going back history. So you have to tell me about the frozen embryo. That
Oh yeah. So the oldest. I'll read it to you. An Ohio couple welcomed a baby born from an embryo frozen for over 30 years, setting the record for the longest storage time before birth. Lindsay and Tim Pierce used donated embryos through embryo adoption after struggling with infertility. The embryos were donated by Linda, a churd who created them through IVF in 1994 but couldn't use them after her divorce.
Wow.
The baby was born from an embryo stored for 11,148 days, surpassing the previous record. Isn't that wild?
Yes.
That's a long shelf life.
That's kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So is there? What would be the reasoning, Sal? They would use that embryo. Like
I don't know.
Like
that's a good question. Why'd you pick that one?
Yeah, I'll take that one that's been on the shelf for 11,000 days. Please
move the cobwebs a little bit.
Yeah. Can you give me a newer one?
I mean, Linda was a badass. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I mean, is there something about?
I should hope so.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? I want to know if this baby is
maybe that baby's
healthy.
Live for.
I want to know about the baby.
Years.
How is the baby just now born? Like, do we know anything about the baby?
Yeah, it was just born recently.
July 26th.
Yeah, dude. Cute baby picture. But
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Kind of wild.
That is wild.
I got something for you.
Okay.
A company in Spain. I can't wait to hear what your guys' initial thought is on this, because I know I have an initial thought. A company in Spain gives workers a 30-minute masturbation break, written in the official policy.
Oh, bro, I sent this to the group. Yeah. I
used to take that anyway. So now I could have got paid for it, is what you're saying?
It's called, shut up. It's called the Masturbation Station.
Right.
Employees go mid-shift to relieve stress and produce and boost.
So now you don't have to hide in the bathroom. You actually have like a designated station.
You know what this reminds me of? What's our show that we like that we all think is hilarious?
Righteous Gemstones.
Righteous Gemstones when the prayer pods turn into masturbation pods.
I didn't watch that.
Oh, you did?
You missed out.
Yeah, one of the
God,
inventions one of those kids comes up with is like these prayer pods. And they're these pods so people can pull over and pray wherever, in malls. They turn into
like in airports, he's like, no, they've been masturbating in there.
So when I read this, I immediately thought to myself, like, this CEO is 100% a pervert. 100% is trying to find a way to be a pervert with his staff.
Do they even have an HR department? Like, how did that fly?
I don't know how that flies, but for sure, this is whoever the CEO is, whoever's running this, is like, did you take your break? You imagine that? Imagine your boss coming up to you, Justin, did you take your jerk off break?
I'll wait.
Go ahead. I'll just hang out over there. How was that? Was that okay?
You say that until like the reports come back.
You feel good?
No sick days and performance went up by 20%. Then he looks like a genius. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
What are the perks if you like crush it that month?
Yeah.
We have someone who's going to offer you a hand.
We actually have a machine.
Yeah, we want to talk. Steve, you go tell us your success story this week. Yeah, I went in every day.
30 days in a row. Good job.
To Justin's point with HR, like, how do you not get in trouble for something? Where was it at again?
Spain.
It's in Spain.
Oh, Spain.
Much looser rules over there.
I guess. Is that the case over there?
I mean, they sleep half the day, right?
That's true.
I don't know.
They're the ones that they have siestas, right? Isn't siesta over there?
Yeah, yes. Is that really? Is that?
I'm jealous. They get to work a little bit, then sleep a lot.
It is an adult entertainment company.
Well, that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
That makes total sense.
It's called Erica Lust Films.
Oh yeah, and him as a boss, he's already
maybe because everybody's working.
That makes way more sense.
They're working on their projects.
Distracted.
I can't handle this anymore.
I guarantee you
go in there.
Yes, go handle your business and then get back to work.
Get back to editing these films, bro.
Whatever happened? Okay, I brought up in the show like a long time ago the big movement on the 4-day work week.
I don't know.
And there was a lot of companies that adopted that and were doing that. In fact, we had some partners of ours that I think that moved to that. I haven't heard anything else about that.
I heard that like a lot of them started to really demand everybody back, and we're trying to rebuild culture. But
yeah, I know that about COVID. COVID did a thing, and you continue.
Once you give people that, it's hard to pull them back. Dude.
Yeah. There was. I mean, there's a lot of people that I know that both my family and friends that had jobs where they only had to come in the office once a week, and most of those companies have reverted back to the old ways. But there was a lot of good ideas around the like. I mean, personally, if I had the choice of 4 10-hour days over 5 8-hour, I would take 4 10-hour days. I mean, I already was doing that back in the day.
Yeah,
so,
right.
What's it say, Doug?
Yeah, so there's a lot of companies who have actually done it successfully, including Microsoft Japan, Kickstarter, Buffer, Panasonic, North America. Just a few.
Talk about Japanese culture though, Doug, with work. If you're working so hard that you're falling asleep at your desk, it's almost like a flex.
Yeah.
People are like, oh man, look at
they're notoriously long workers.
Sleep on the train and then just go right back to work.
Yeah, they grind.
That's crazy.
They grind over there.
It says 29 companies with 4-day work week. Yeah, I'd be really interested to see how that pans out. I mean, are you guys that way? I mean, I feel like I would.
Well, according to this, employees are happier, work harder when they have that type of schedule. Yeah.
I mean, I would. I mean, if you came to me in my 20s and said, "Hey, here's the deal. Like, instead of coming 5 days a week, we'd love for you to come 4 and
I worked 7 days a week for
I know,
years.
That's why it's a no-brainer for us.
Yeah.
I know. I was already working 7 days a week and 6 for like what? 4 for 10, easy.
I thought we just had to do that.
It was. You know what it's like working. Well, you guys know this. You work 7 days a week because I did this for years. Okay, working 7 days a week for years and years and years. When you take a day off, it feels so hard to get back in the momentum. Yeah. Like you take a day off, you're like, oh. It was easier almost to just keep going all the way through. You guys remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
But you've also seen like they've done research on this too of like the amount of actually productivity that the average employee has.
Oh yeah.
It's like
low,
crazy in an 8-hour day.
Especially now with Facebook.
I'm pretty sure it's under 2 hours. I'm pretty sure that's the research I've seen. Is like in an 8-hour day, I think the average employee is literally productive for like 2 of those hours.
Unless you live in China where they monitor you.
Yeah. Well, that's why. Hey, that's why being a trainer is. This is why I tell people who want to become personal trainers. If you work an 8-hour day as a trainer, you have 8 clients. You're working 8 hours.
Yeah, you're tired.
There ain't no off. You don't get to go hang out at the water cooler or do whatever. You're with a client for 8 hours.
You guys be charismatic. You got to be on top of your game, sharp.
That's it, dude.
You got to be there.
Look, if you do 30 hours a week as a trainer, that's what I consider full time.
It's considered full time. Yeah, 30 hours
sessions
of training clients is a full time trainer.
Have you guys seen?
So for 3 hours. Okay, so I was off a little bit. So that's an 8-hour day. Yeah, that's not even half. So not even half the time.
Well, I know you have those secret cameers for our employees.
Yes, that's right. Dylan,
nap cam. And then we watch it and laugh.
I mean, our team. I'm so impressed with them that we give them a lot of autonomy and freedom around that.
We got a great team
where we're not overseeing them during a lot of days, right? That we're not in the office, and so. But I've
randomly come in.
Yeah, I randomly come in all the time and
catch them off.
I've never caught them goofing off or messing around on YouTube or doing that. They're always
we have an amazing team here. So 100%. Okay, so
music changes though. I'll be honest.
Justin, I know you've been. Have you been seeing this distant object that scientists are saying this may be?
I've heard all about this.
Have you been seeing it?
I've heard about it. I haven't dug too far into it.
Some scientists are saying it's probably an alien space probe.
Yeah.
Like it's probably not natural because of the trajectory and the speed.
This is where my conspiracy brain just goes crazy.
Oh, that's why I brought it up.
Come on, dude.
There's a huge, it's about the size. Let me see how big it is.
Okay, fill me in because I'm not watching the same stuff.
We have located a huge something that's moving at the speed of about 36 miles per second.
Yeah.
And it is 7 miles wide.
7 miles wide.
Okay, it's huge, and it's
motherships.
It is not moving like a normal, natural thing in space.
No.
And so scientists are saying this
is it coming towards us, away from
in
us?
our direction, but it won't hit us. But it's moving towards us.
At one point, will it get close enough that we can actually
in orbit with us?
Yeah.
Will we see
I
it?
believe so. Doug, see what it says in the news there about that. Just put.
Did they say? I mean,
put possible alien probe, and then go and click on news, and see what pops up.
Have they pointed one of those like Hubble telescopes on it or anything?
I don't know how they're following it.
Clear images.
Yeah. So the name of it is what? What does that say?
Oh, you got it. We've already named it.
Yeah. Look at this probing. It's like interstellar object
is Snopes, bro.
Oh, no, I want to hear what Snopes says, actually.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, let's see what Snopes says, even though
I've never believed anything.
It's likely a comet, according to Snopes.
Likely, okay. But I am reading, go back and look at the other articles with scientists. A lot of them are saying, here's a Harvard scientist believes that it could be an alien craft.
Yeah.
So let's go to conspiracy theories.
3I Atlas is the name of the
because
craft.
it's in
Alex,
a few months.
conspiracy theories for 500, please.
Yeah, in a few months, it's going to be I believe it's going to be closer to us, right?
Okay, so we'll get to the bottom of this.
All right,
and it's possibly hostile.
Yes, possibly
hostile.
Again, making up stuff.
Like 7 miles wide. That's big.
That's a big.
If that hit Earth, that's like extinction event.
Big flying object.
Yeah. So Justin, what's your theory on why they'd be saying this?
Project Bluebeam, dude.
Damn.
All day.
Do you know what Project Bluebeam?
I do not.
You need to look that up.
I know. Why have you guys?
Well, I mean, like here's just my food for thought is like where we're at now, technology wise, with what we can do with drones and like what we can do with being able to project images. Like we can project really, really large images in the sky.
Yep.
And it's just, I'm already seeing, I don't know if you've looked, but there's been reports too of like down in South America where they're seeing like actual religious iconic imagery that's in the sky. There's like a ring of fire over this other place. I forget where that was, but people are reporting things in the sky and my brain is immediately, oh dude, they're just projecting these things to fuck with us.
So Project Bluebeam, and I want to know what the roots are. Was this a CIA? Was this like a declassified, like where did the roots come from? But Project Bluebeam says that there will be a faked alien invasion that will scare us enough to organize a new world order under a new religion. And it's going to depict this religious figure up there that's going to say this is the real religion. It's going to
bring unity amongst the whole world.
Unity,
right?
Everybody come together and bring unity.
Yeah.
And that's in order to create a new world government.
What?
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, that would be the most effective way to do it.
The only way you can do it, yeah.
How would you get all the governments and all the people of the world to say, let's all make a big
government. That or nuclear war.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that, right?
Yeah. So that's my theory too.
Yeah.
That's my theory too. We'll see
what's going on over there, buddy?
I'll tell you what's going on. These stupid websites keep opening up different things. Okay, so it was originated in the 1990s by some Canadian journalist. So that's the conspiracy theory.
Yeah, but where do you get his information from?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to open it up, and it keeps.
There's other links there, Doug.
I get it. I get it.
We got the boomer on the internet.
I'm not a boomer, by the way.
Are you? What are you, Gen X?
I'm Gen X.
Are you really?
I'm the first year of Gen X.
The Canadian government debunked it. I remember there's some story about it.
Yeah, I mean the journalist who came out with it died.
Yeah, but then they died. And then that conspiracy got more popular again. Yeah. So that's kind of how it always goes. Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, so there was this interesting backstory on. So there's this PBS, I think one of those like public broadcasters, like this guy just devoted his life to exposing fraud and exposing like corrupt local politicians and local like corrupt cops. And so he would go on the news. I think this is somewhere on the East Coast. And would name names and would literally like tell people what he's found and just kept doing this. And then cops, some of the cops like didn't like this, that he was looking into, some of the corruption and all this. And turns out one of those cops, this big guy, he was like shaking him down. He's like, stop doing this, and ended up like beating him up. And this happened like 4 times. And then he would actually go on live TV on public broadcasting, and he'd be like, the last time he was in the hospital and he's like reporting, and this guy had beat him up again. And so they took him to court. The guy gets off, no charges, nothing, right? This cop. Later on, basically he then the cop gets. Oh, this guy dies mysteriously, and then the cop gets arrested for killing 4 people. And so he ends up in prison. Now, this cop, and he was saying that he has ties to the mob and all this kind of stuff, trying to threaten this guy. And turns out this guy, this cop, he was the last guy in the cell with Epstein.
Oh.
So there's like this weird connection there.
Yeah. I lost track.
Yeah.
I lost track.
All right.
what was happening. But
But I caught back up with the
yeah,
Epstein.
I got back up at the end. So there's a cop.
Sorry.
So,
So let me be clear. Okay.
what's happening?
I think I got it. A reporter got killed.
Okay.
He was killed mysteriously.
And that cop was tied to that reporter. That same cop was in Epstein's.
He ended up getting arrested for killing 4 other people.
On. Do we need more evidence? That
Yeah,
Epstein?
I know. I was confusing. My bad. Yeah, but that's the facts.
I was trying to follow along. I lost halfway through.
I needed like a diagram.
Yeah, bro. Do we need more evidence that Epstein didn't kill himself? Come on.
Where is the latest with it right now?
I don't know, dude. Didn't they say they're going to release?
We're not going to know anything because it's too integrated with people that are really powerful.
I think first of all, there's one of 2 options. Here's my theories. Option 1, that they are doing an investigation and revealing any of it will complicate or prevent the real investigation. So they can't let anything out. So
I think it's crazy that there's not even more talks about like the different types of paintings that he had in there, and like what some of them like. I mean, George Bush throwing airplanes at Lego block is wild.
All the red shoes that they're wearing, the red high heels,
the blue dress that Monica Lewinsky was wearing.
Bill Clinton wearing it, and come on, dude.
There's some stuff.
Don't look into. There's all other stuff too that's weird.
All the children and stuff that they have.
The emails.
Yes, dude. It's like
also Ghislaine Maxwell was before that was a recruiter for Disney for talent for kids.
Was she?
You knew that? Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So there's that.
Here's the other side. Here's the other theory I have. The other theory I have is that there's so many people implicated that if it all comes out, it'll cause destruction.
Yeah.
It'll take down everything.
I believe that. And that's the part of me.
What are you going to throw everybody?
To me, that makes the most sense of why because Trump campaigned on I'm going to release all this stuff.
Sure.
But if you're now in position like that, even if it because I know the default is he must be in it, but come on, the Democrats would have done that if they'd known that he was in it. So I don't necessarily think it has anything to do per se with him, but I think when they sit down with the people that make this decision, they're like, listen, you put this shit out here, and you're going to implicate.
Well, he hung out with him. I'm sure he's on the list, but him having some kind of criminal activity there is, I'm sure is.
I think everybody's going to be on the list.
I think
Did you guys watch the by the way, since we're on Epstein, what a great interview is the guy who is the oh my god, I cannot think of the who used to be the head Fox guy that's now on it by himself.
Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson. Yeah. Did you see Tucker Carlson interview the Epstein invest? Oh my god, I sent it to Katrina because it was so good because I'm like her and I don't follow a lot of this stuff closely, and I'm like, but an opportunity to have somebody who literally has studied his whole life, and he took you through his timeline of his entire life. And this is where he was at from this year to this year. This is who he was working with. This is who he met. And listening to how even his first job that he got, and then how he got fired, and then all of a sudden is now working. Then the very next year after he gets fired.
Does anybody know how he got all those millions of dollars? No.
Well, they can't. And that's
why he was so interested in all these scientists and their latest technology and influence, and how he
because it was a huge
Brett Weinstein.
It was a powerful blackmailing operation. That's it. Period. End of story. Yeah. They have so much dirt on so many people.
Yeah.
If you think the president has the power to do this, you're tripping. The CIA and these organizations.
And their dismissal of it is such bullshit, dude.
They have this power and they don't want to get rid of it. It's like, no, we got blackmail on all these people. We're not going to let the cat.
They've opened that box. You can't close it.
No way, dude. No. And if nothing happened, by the way, they're like, oh, there's nothing out there. Why is Jill Zane still in jail? If nothing happened, if there's no,
it's wild to me she's still alive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah. They're trying to use it somehow as a
we'll see
chess piece. Yeah. We'll see.
GHKCU is a peptide that has been shown in studies to dramatically improve the look and health of your skin, boost collagen production significantly. Now, there's a company called Luminos by Intera. They have the highest concentration of GHKCU in any skincare formula you'll find anywhere. This is the only one we promote. So if you want to use the power of GHKCU and see a difference in 2 applications, literally, go to interaskincare.com/MPM. That's ENTERA skincare.com/MPM. Use the code MPM, get 10% off your order. Back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Mind Pump Fitness Coaching. This is the #1 course that teaches trainers and coaches how to build sustainable 6-figure plus businesses and careers in fitness. Look, it's roundtable based, so you can hear Adam, Justin, and myself teaching you how to build a better business, get more leads, close more deals, close bigger deals, and be more effective trainers. By the way, our course is nationally recognized. In fact, it gives you 1.9 CEUs with or for your NASM certification. Find out more at mindpumpfitnesscoaching.com.
First question is from Fulvio Castle. Are 1,000 calories worth of protein exactly the same as 1,000 calories of carbs or fats, or do I still have to subtract the thermic effect of food from it?
All right. So here's where we can get into the weeds a little bit, but I'll answer the question first. Count it all the same.
Yeah.
That's okay. If you try to get into the nuances of thermic effect and all that stuff, like good luck trying to calculate that. You're better off 4 grams, a gram of protein is 4 calories, a gram of carbs, 4 calories, a gram of fat, 9 calories. That's the end of the story. Okay. That being said, there is a difference when it comes to protein. We know that protein per gram has what's called a higher thermic effect, meaning it actually burns more calories to eat protein than it does for carbohydrates and fats. This is why in studies where the calories are controlled and we're looking at, we're testing different groups, the high protein group, same calories, loses, one of the reasons why they lose body fat. Now, simultaneously, it also contributes to more muscle growth,
Right.
Which can also increase the caloric burn because muscle is, more thermically active or more metabolically active than, let's say, from a calorie burning perspective than body fat. But that being said, like if you start splitting hairs like this, like you've gone way too far.
Way down the rabbit hole.
Way down the rabbit
It's
hole.
easy to. It's the simple answer is what you said, which is and I'll give another example of where this protein makes a big difference. Like let's say I had a client, which I've had before, that only eats 1,000 calories. So you're grossly under eating some of your essential macronutrients, protein being one of those, and you increase your calories by 1,000. Okay, from 1,000 to 2,000 calories, and you get all 1,000 from each different macronutrient. You'll see significantly better benefits from getting the 1,000 calories from protein.
Extra protein.
Because that person now will start to hit more of their essential proteins,
Yeah.
which plays a role in building muscle, which then plays a role in speeding your metabolism up, which then plays a role in you probably leaning out and losing body fat. So from that perspective, they're not all equal in that sense. But I've never calculated thermic effect or it's like total calories. And
what's funny about that too.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, and what's funny about that too, Adam, is like, if you want to calculate the fluctuations that happen on a minute by minute basis, you'd be better off trying to figure out how your metabolism is adapting every single day. But that would also be in futility because it changes all the time.
Yeah.
The calories in versus calories out. Basic understanding is true. Taking less calories than you burn and you lose weight, taking more calories than you burn, you gain weight. But that calories out part fluctuates dramatically, can be changed dramatically through hormones, through muscle gain, metabolic adaptations, mitochondrial uncoupling, some people would say. And then the thermic effect also plays a role. But when you try to account for all that stuff, we don't have machines that read things accurately enough on a day-to-day basis where this would make any sense whatsoever. And I don't see how this would make sense for anybody anyway, unless you're trying to get within 1 or 2 calories.
Well, the way it would make sense, the reason
maintenance.
why I gave the analogy that I gave is where it would make sense is, let's say you're a client who's, I'm going to bump my calories 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
You're probably better off going 1,000 calories of protein for the simple benefits that it has in other places. And then in that sense, it makes sense that you're paying attention to like where those 1,000 calories are coming from.
Although that's a lot of grams of protein. What was that, like 250 grams of protein or something ridiculous like that?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, you want some carbs and fats in that too.
That's a good point.
But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're going to bump 100 calories, 200 calories, right?
Yeah.
And fat is essential too, though. There was oftentimes I'd have a female client where she's hitting essential protein, not ideal protein. Ideal is 1 gram per pound of body weight generally. But she was hitting essential protein, but she wasn't hitting essential fat.
Yeah.
So then I would have her start by bumping her fat, because if you don't get those essentials, your body just doesn't function. Right. Carbohydrates non-essential. That doesn't mean it's not a good idea to eat them, or it's a good idea to eat. It just means that you don't need to eat them to thrive. You can go with 0 carbs and you'll be okay. You can't do that with protein or fats.
Next question is from Jamie Yoska. I am an online coach and some of my clients get overwhelmed with using multiple apps. How can I still track their progress virtually without them logging their workouts and nutrition?
Well, this is a perfect example of why you should probably be working with us. I mean, we have a one app high level that we use for all of this, and we have software that we provide. We don't talk a lot about it on the podcast, but for this person and any trainer that's listening, if you guys email Kyle@mindpumpmedia.com and have a question regarding this, like we take our trainers through this CRM, so this software, that it's an all-in-one place. And so you manage all of your clients through this one single app, and then it communicates to all those things. It's a much simpler way for a trainer that's really trying to scale and build their business. This is essential. I mean, I think that I wish this stuff existed back when I was a trainer, but these tools are amazing.
Now, that being said, you got to be, it depends on the client, right? You don't want to give your client tracking fatigue or stress or anxiety around tracking everything. Like, you can make your client hyper aware, too aware of everything to the point where you're no longer improving their quality of life. You just added stress and anxiety.
You could be setting them up for failure.
You're saying, okay, track all your workouts, all your reps, track your sleep, track every calorie that goes in and your macros and this person is like, this has not improved the quality of my life.
Well, and by the way, Sal, this is not unique to training online.
That's right.
This is no different than training a person.
That's right.
And this is when you hear us talk about meeting the client where they're at. Sal shares the famous story with his client all the time where he's like, read one nutrition page a week. Like some people, getting them to track macros, weigh themselves, take side pictures, front pictures, enter the app, watch that is just
they're not going to do it.
Way too much. And what makes a good trainer is knowing that about each individual client, going like, oh, okay, it's a lot of work for this client to just hit steps consistently. And so that might be all we really focus on, and then the next step. And like you build upon that. So this is not unique to virtual coaching. This is coaching clients, is knowing how much you task out to them and meeting them where they're currently at.
It might start like this. Like, did you work out? How was it? That might be the only thing that we track right now. It was good. Perfect. Now we're going to talk about how you feel and stuff like that. And then it may turn into, let's track these two exercises. I don't care about the other ones. These are the two that I want to see you get stronger at. So how much did you lift last week in your squat? How much did you lift this week in your squat? And then maybe you move to tracking nutrition, but it might just look like, did you eat protein first? And then it might turn into, did you eat 30 grams of protein? And then and so on and so on. But it's a lot of coaches and trainers and even people who are trying to accomplish some fitness goals, they go with like everything. They bring so much awareness, so much hyper awareness on everything that at some point they're like, I don't want to do this. This is stressful and anxiety inducing. It's causing body dysmorphia or hyper. Like, I got to get out of this. It should feel good, and it should feel. You definitely should meet someone where they're at. So when it comes to the apps and the tracking, you have to monitor who it's appropriate with and who it's not.
Yeah, I'm going to continue to stress too. Because a lot of our focus in this business right now is helping coaches and trainers like yourself. Like this is part of the mentoring process that we do with the coaches, and there is helping you through this process. Because there is an art to being able to, one, know how to meet a client when they're at, and then two, also communicate to them, for example, why they might not be seeing the results that they're wanting to see, because that's the next layer to this question or challenge is, okay, so I've got this client that is just hard to do all these things, but yet in order to get them to see results, they need to hit protein, they need to be consistent with the work, they need to do all those things. And so how do I communicate to them that, there's a reason why we're not seeing maybe the results we want, yet at the same time too, meeting them where they're currently at, which is hardly anything. And there's an art to that. There's an art to being able to, paint that. And we talk a lot, we use the word forecasting with our trainers all the time is, a good trainer forecasts really well on like what's going to probably happen based off what we're currently doing and how we're doing it.
The struggles, the challenges.
Yeah, so that when the client does their, monthly check-in on their weight or scale and they don't see great results, but then all I've gotten Susie to do at this point is read one nutrition page and say, well, yeah, of course, we're not hitting protein intake, we're not doing these things, but that's okay. You know what? What you did this month is you read a page out of that nutrition book every single day. You've never done that. We're moving in the right direction. I know we're not where you want, but that's okay. It's all right. Everybody starts from somewhere. So learning to do that is an art and distinguishes the difference, in my opinion, of a good coach and a great coach.
Next question is from Lori Madel. Can I drink alcohol 3 to 5 drinks per week and still make progress in building muscle?
I don't know, Justin. Can you?
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, you totally can.
Building,
of course you can.
It's just that's the thing. It's if you're trying to smash alcohol into like a performance goal or like a weight loss goal, it's a bad idea. I mean, it's just not beneficial in any fashion.
Building with alcohol is much easier than cutting and performance with alcohol.
Yeah.
Because alcohol destroys sleep. Alcohol is not going to help performance. Alcohol is extra empty calories. Very difficult when I'm gauging performance and sleep, when I'm gauging weight loss. But if I'm on the bulk, empty calories isn't the worst thing. The thing you have to watch out for is when those calories replace calories you need, when they replace essential things like fat and protein, because they still are calories and they still take up some room. Yeah. And if you are not hitting your macro targets that you're supposed to, and in addition to that, you're eating in a alcohol caloric surplus, yeah, you're gonna have a hard time building muscle.
Totally, but let's get a little deeper, right? 3 to 5 drinks a week spread out. Like I have 5 drinks, but it's 1 drink a night is way different than 5 drinks in one day.
Yeah.
Like if you drink all of them in one day, that's gonna have a much more detrimental effect on your ability to make any progress than if it was spread out during the week. Here's the other thing too. Like everybody needs to relax about making progress. Like what's gonna compromise? Look, if you don't have a problem with alcohol, if you actually enjoy yourself and you like to enjoy the occasional glass of wine with dinner and you're with your family and friends and it's improving your quality of life, who cares?
Yeah.
Like it's not that big of a deal. You're going to compete on stage, you're going to be a bodybuilder, cut it out, right? You get a 3% body fat, get shredded. Like you're not doing anything that's off the program. But for the average person, 1 drink at night.
You get real gradual progress, like, not hitting every single mark. And that's really what it amounts to. It's like if you're talking about being super dialed, but then smashing something in that isn't helpful, that's stupid.
Yeah, but again, and if you look at the data on alcohol, here's what's interesting. You'll find data that'll support that 1 glass of wine a day improves your health. Now, it's not because the wine is necessarily healthy, but I think it's when they look at the cultures that do this, what they're finding is these are people that spend time together.
I mean, everybody in this room drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did an Instagram post of me drinking. This is the last post I did was me drinking whiskey and my wife drinking champagne on the weekend. And so absolutely it's a part. I do think there is you never know, I have like no idea who we're talking to, right? And I've had many clients ask this before. And when it's a problem is when my client says I can't give up this thing, right? Yeah. When you have this attachment to something, well, then there's probably a deeper problem there than having this balance of alcohol. Because I'm all for a great weekend with your wife where you have a few drinks and sit by the pool or do your thing. Like I think that has tremendous health benefits.
That's right.
Relationship health benefits. And so I'm for it. But if you can't go a week of your life without having a drink every single day, or you can't have a week where you don't get drunk on the weekend, like there's probably something more there than that, and that's underlining more than it is the calories with alcohol.
And there's a difference between drinking and getting drunk. Yeah. There's a very big difference from a health perspective.
Sure.
Drinking, probably okay for the most part, if everything else is healthy or whatever, especially if you're bonding with other people. Getting drunk, usually never healthy. So,
so I mean, even like I have a very specific goal during that whole performance goal. I was not drinking.
Right.
I just was like, this isn't helping, so I'm not going to do it.
There's a time for it.
Simple as that. And then I started drinking again when I was done.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you, Justin. And there's also a period in your life too when you're trying to get a hold of yourself metabolically, and so where this becomes very detrimental. I have no idea of this person. Let's just pretend this is also the person who, has yo-yo dieted like crazy, only normally eats about 1,200 to 1,500 calories, does all the crazy high intensity classes when they're on their kick, but then also, has Sunday fun day with the girls and drinks 5 to 7 drinks or whatever like that. Like, okay, well, those 5 to 7 drinks are such a significant portion of your calorie intake because your metabolism is so slow because you haven't spent the time building a metabolism. Now, take somebody who's metabolic healthy, like a Justin, who is easily can eat 3,000 plus calories, and then has these
sitting.
Yeah, and then has those moments where you have a couple days where you not a big deal. No. So a lot of this question has to do with, one, your relationship with that alcohol, okay, and what's really going on there. Two, where you're currently at metabolically. And, and three, how long or how often do we have to do this thing? It's like, you absolutely can be healthy and fit and have alcohol. Everybody in this room does. There's nobody, in fact, is anybody in this room gone more than a week and not had a drink?
Oh, I do that all the time. Yeah.
I mean, like currently, right?
Like currently.
Has anyone? Did anyone? I mean, I know I drank in the last 7 days.
I think I had a margarita over the weekend.
Actually, it was weird, because I went to my favorite Mexican place and I had like water, and I was like, "This is like blasphemy."
What? Yeah, you like margaritas?
Has it been more than a week since you drank?
No, I had something last.
That's what I'm saying. So I mean, you're talking about 4 people that obviously care a lot about health and fitness. Yet still find moments for that. But we can also, everyone in this room could probably say, oh, there's probably been a month straight where I have no alcohol. Right. So it's like, it doesn't have a hold on me like that. And so whenever I had a client that would say things like this to me, there's more questions. Yeah, exactly. There's more questions I'm going to want to ask, because a lot of times, I remember having this, the last time I had this conversation was with an aunt of mine. And she was like, on her kick where she wants to get in shape. And she's like, but I don't want to give up my wine at night. And it's just like, man, when you say something like that to me, there's an issue there. It's like, you mean to tell me you can't not have a bottle of wine every single night? Like, and then you want me to help you get healthy and fit. It's
especially when you're making room for the wine by cutting out food.
And that's really
I've had clients do that before. Like, well, what if I have the 2 glasses of wine and I cut out this other stuff over here? And I'm like, well, now we're playing an interesting game. So that might not be
the best strategy.
Well, yeah, because to the questions that we asked earlier about calories do matter, but then your body also needs these other essential macronutrients. Right. And if alcohol is getting in the way of you consistently hitting these other macros that are essential to you living a healthy lifestyle, building muscle, being fit,
not a good trade.
It's not a good trade at all. Now, you get to a place where you get your metabolism healthy, you understand what your body needs, and then you have the occasional 3 to 5 drinks. Hell yes,
you're fine.
And I'm for that.
Next question is from Joshy J 93. What are the short and long-term goals of Mind Pump?
I love it. The long-term goal is the same as it was when we first started the podcast. It's the same. And the long-term goal has been and always will be
world domination.
Yes. Change as many lives as we can.
To shift the fitness industry in a better direction, to influence the industry of fitness, the media, the commercials, the information that's out there,
the
in
trainers.
A way that is beneficial, because the fitness industry for a long time puts out a lot of terrible information and really hasn't been a force for good. And so that's always been the goal of Mind Pump. And I think we've made some headway in some areas. So that's the long-term goal. Short-term goal recently is now moving in the area of trainers and coaches. Yep. We have finally stepped in. Now, the podcast has always had a lot of trainers and coaches listen to it, but now we're actually moving into equipping them and hiring them. We actually have trainers and coaches that work for us now, and we're growing that department.
A fleet.
And now we want to, the first short goal was to really work on the consumers and help educate them so that they can tell the difference between good and bad information and just present the good information better than the bad guys can present the bad information. Now we're working on the inside, the soldiers, and that's the trainers and coaches. Nobody can influence people with their health and fitness more. There's nobody that'll have more of an impact than a good coach or a good trainer. And so now the goal is specifically to create more of them, both by hiring and by educating. So,
and I think we had to do it in the order that we did.
Totally.
I think back to when I used to get a new staff. Right. So back in the company that we all worked for, right, 24-Hour Fitness back in the days, it was common that you would run a club for a period of time, and then they would move you to another club, typically after you've done really well, or you've done really bad, right? They move you for one of those 2 reasons. And the reasons of the guys in this room was normally they did really well, and then they got moved to another club to go fix that club or build it. And you get a new staff. And so here I am, even though I had great success at the last club, I'm at a new club. I have 15 trainers that are working for me who maybe kind of know me, but don't really know me. And now I'm in and I'm their boss. Like, mistake one by some leaders or managers would be to come in and start telling them all how to be better coaches and trainers. I always didn't say anything, and I just let them watch. So first thing I do is go in and quietly do their jobs. and do it better so that I can earn the respect of all of them to tell them how to do their jobs better. And so when you think about what we did with the podcast, that was like, we're going to come out and go help people, and we're going to help a lot of people, and we're going to do it so good, so well that, you know, millions of people find out about us, and thousands and tens of thousands of trainers know about us. Now we have that respect, and so now we have this ability to go, okay, now we've garnered that attention and respect. Now we can go in and really coach and teach them, and that's the main focus right now, is to really impact the trainer side of the house, and it's where a lot of our energy is.
There hasn't been, and we're trying to create this. There has not been a standard for coaches and trainers. There hasn't been a place that you could point to where you could say that's the standard for coaches and trainers. There's good coaches and trainers that have been out there. There's always been really good coaches and trainers,
like a Hippocratic oath.
There's no like standard like, oh, that's the place. Those are the trainers that all trainers should to aspire to be like. So what we're trying to do now is create that standard of what it's like, of trainers that train clients the right way with a long-term success in mind, with helping people develop these relationships with fitness where they do it for the rest of their lives without resorting to things like today's the last day, or here, you know, here's your before and after, or we're going to make you really doing it the right way. And that's what we're trying to create now. And that's the short-term goal. But again, it's geared towards the long-term goal. It always has been to try to shift the industry and lead it and lead this industry so that when the consumer goes on and hears crap on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, they point, oh, wait, this is not true. That's not really how it works. And this guy's not going to sell me this product because I know it's false promises and that doesn't sound right. And that's still the goal. 10 years later, that's always going to be the goal.
Out-compete the charlatans.
That's it. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat. For men, this is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
Now, there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.